All right, let's talk about the 3 different keyword match types in Google Ads. Now, if you're new to Google Ads and you just set up your first campaign, maybe you had help from Google, you probably are already running mostly, or if not all, broad match keywords, which I highly do not recommend. And we'll talk about that in here in a second. As for me and at my agency, we only run phrase match and exact match. In rare occasions, we'll run broad match, but really, if you're going to run broad match, it has to be for specific scenarios where you just really need to know what you're doing. Regardless, let's cover what each match type means and how it works. So for broad match, it really just shows your keyword to anything relating to your keyword, right? So in their example here, they use the term home decor was eligible to serve for cream colored leather sectional. Now, if I search home decor using a broad match keyword, other variations may be wall paintings, paintings for my house, couches for my home, decorations for my house, right? You can kind of see how it gets all over the place. If we actually go to this other help article here, which I will link, you can see their example here is a low carb diet plan is the broad match keyword. Now, ads that may show for the term low carb diet plan as a broad match is carb-free foods, low carb diets, carb-free meals, how to cut carbs for beginners, Mediterranean diet books. You can see here like these two, that's kind of where things kind of get off the rails. It could even show your ads for competitors. You might even appear for like HelloFresh or something in the case like this. So that's kind of why we like to avoid broad match, is because it really does show your ad for a lot of irrelevant searches if you're not careful. Now for phrase match, which is one of the keywords types that we use the most, it's basically going to show your ads to anything that includes the meaning of your keyword. So if the keyword here is cheap furniture stores, you may be eligible to show for anything regarding cheap, deals, promotion, that kind of thing, right? So living room furniture deals. But it still does kind of have a little bit more of a broad spectrum, as you can show for things like what store is the best place to find a bedroom dresser. However, it is not as loose as broad match. It's a lot more tighter knit, but it is kind of expanding to the meaning of your keyword. Here again, in Google's example, their phrase match keyword is tennis shoes. Ads that would show would be shoes for tennis, red tennis shoes, blue tennis shoes, where can I buy tennis shoes, comfortable tennis sneakers. Notice the term sneakers kind of snuck in there because it's relevant to the meaning of tennis shoes. But ads that wouldn't show would be tennis store, because a tennis store is different than tennis shoes, right? Another thing to keep in mind on phrase and exact match keywords is there's actually notation for adding these keywords. So for phrase match, you're adding quotations on the end of the keyword, where for exact match, you're adding a bracket. Then for broad match, it just leaves it as is. Lastly, for exact match, it's basically going to show the most relevant, most exact meaning of your keyword. Exact match used to only show your keyword for the exact keyword you typed in, meaning if your exact match was furniture store, you would not show for anything else but furniture store. However, in the last couple of months, they kind of broadened it out a little bit, which basically just opens it up to what they call close match variant. So now for exact match terms, it shows your searches or shows your ads for more relevant, closely tied in keywords, right? So furniture store and home furnishing shop would be considered relevant to exact match. Again, we can scroll down here and take another look at what they share. So if the keyword here is shoes for men as an exact match, we're relevant to serve for shoes men, men's shoes, men's shoe store maybe, shoes for a man, that kind of thing. It's very exact and relevant to what the keyword is. But men's tennis shoes and shoes for boys is considered not relevant to the exact match keyword. Now, there's pros and cons to phrase and exact match, which are the two we use, and because of that, we use both. We test out both. We'll run some keywords in phrase, some in exact. Sometimes we even start a keyword out in exact match, and if it's not working well, we'll downgrade it to phrase match or vice versa. I will say exact match is going to give you the most relevant searches, but it can also cost the most. Broad match is going to give you the least relevant searches and cost the least, but you're also inevitably kind of, suffering because you're wasting money on terms that are relevant. Whereas phrase match is kind of right in the middle. It's still fitting to the meaning and the intent of the keyword, but it's still broad enough to allow you to discover other variations of the terms. So in a nutshell, avoid using broad match, try using variations of both phrase and exact match, and watch your search terms to see what actually is being triggered by the keywords.